Tonight, the fury from two raging wildfires laying siege to the north rim of the Grand Canyon.
We are all getting evacuated right now.
Park officials confirming the historic Grand Canyon Lodge was consumed by flames, along with park administrative buildings, visitor facilities, and a wastewater treatment plant. In total, some 50 to 80 structures now confirmed lost, all destroyed by the so-called Dragon Bravo fire, which quickly scorched at least 5,000 acres, and the larger White Sage fire exploding to tens of thousands of acres after a lightning strike Wednesday. The Grand Canyon hosts the nation's third most popular national park, last year with more than 4.9 million visits. The historic lodge there, constructed nearly 100 years ago, served as a mountain oasis for millions, the only real lodging inside the park on the more remote North Rim, now destroyed by flames.
In this video, we're going to talk to my friend Tim Buckley, who is working at the lodge on the North Rim. He's going to tell us firsthand about seeing the fires grow, the short notice to evacuate, and how it has affected staff working there. All right, everybody, let's bring in my good friend, Tim Buckley. Hello, friend. How are you doing?
Hello, friend. I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. So, anything big happening down there on in the Grand Canyon? Haven't seen anything on Facebook or anything.
I don't know if there's been any news, but it turns out we had a little wildfire action. So I'm actually currently at Lake Powell. Give me 1 second here. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a good way to start the show. Forgot to shut the patio door. So it's been an action-packed week, but I'll let you lead the way on where you want to begin with the story.
So, I want to have you tell us what exactly happened out there. I saw your latest video where you went camping with a couple buddies. It looked like maybe you're, an hour away?
Yeah, exactly. So if you're not familiar with the North Rim, there's a little community called like an entrance community called Jacob Lake, and that is where you get onto Highway 67, which is the only highway into the North Rim. So we were about, 8 miles east of Jacob Lake in the Kaibab National Forest, Arizona Trail section. We were just doing a little overnight, and we hit signal, and we started getting alerts on our phones. Yeah, so in the case of an evacuation, they have ready, set, go. Ready being kind of self-explanatory. You just have to be ready to leave. Set means basically pack your bags and wait by the front door, and go means evacuate. So the first alert we got, we were on set status right at the area, and we were right on the border of where they were evacuating people to the north. So we had just set up camp. We packed up camp, and we got maybe 10 minutes down the trail, and we got the final alert saying, evacuate now.
Evacuate now.
Oh, no shit. Oh, did you hear that? We're in evacuate now mode.
Not necessarily, at first you didn't think that the lodge and where you stay was threatened, but the road to get out was.
Precisely, yeah. So there's two fires. One is called the White Sage fire. That's the one we were already aware of when we started hiking. We were told by rangers and things there's nothing to be concerned about. So that's the one that evacuated us from the camping trip. So then we headed down that only highway back into the park. It was strange because as this was happening, they were evacuating all guests. So like we're passing every guest from the park as we go in, they're all flashing their headlights at us. And we're like, yeah, we know. So we get back to the North Rim. I'm trying to think. I think we had a meeting the next morning, and our leadership, we're concessionaire with Aramark. Our leadership told us we're going to shelter in place. We were in the safest spot possible. And there was nothing to worry about. There was no way that White Sage fire was going to reach us. Well, unbeknownst to us, on the 4th of July, a lightning fire had started. That's what they call the Dragon Bravo fire. So winds picked up like not more than 10 minutes after that meeting. They did all sorts of things. I'm bartending at the saloon there, and they called me in. They wanted to boost staff morale by opening the saloon. In hindsight, probably a horrible idea. So I go into bartend. I volunteered for the hours and hopped in the saloon. I was there maybe 45 minutes, and all hell broke loose. They came around and said, evacuate now. All of us had already packed a go bag, and that's what we were told. There's no way housing is going to be affected by this. Don't worry about bringing much, just enough to be gone for maybe up to a week. So I threw a couple sets of clothes in. Fortunately, I had all my gear for the most part in my car already because I hadn't unpacked it from the day before out of sheer laziness. And so we just hit the road, and they sent us to where I am right now, which is Lake Powell, and put us up in a really swanky hotel for a few days. But it was mind-numbingly quick. Like we were out from the minute I left the saloon, I was on the road in like 20 minutes. So it was pretty organized chaos. I think our leadership did a good job of getting us out of there. It was just kind of like unfortunate that it was hindsight's 2020, right? So we had no clue that I would spend another 20 minutes grabbing more things, and other people left their campers and cars behind. So
Yeah.
I am one of the more fortunate of the over 200 staff.
Yeah, because you don't own a whole lot of things, so
I do,
you didn't
yeah.
lose as much.
Good day to be a minimalist, Jeremy. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And other than my bougie $100, sun hoodies and things like that, I mean, they're gone, but they're easily replaced. And I have my hammock, I have my Durston tent, I have both my packs, and everything that's near and dear to me basically fits in my backpack. So I have what I would have really been mad about, at least. So that's cool.
So the lodge not only went up in flames, but your housing and some other buildings are gone.
Yeah, and our housing, we're getting word that some of it still stands, and some just random, almost like a tornado. You know how it'll just skip things. So
Yeah.
I think there's some campers that are still there. But we're also being told, we might not be able to go back for weeks, if not, a month or more. In the meantime, we'll have to collect ourselves and travel elsewhere. So, I mean, it's going to be one of those things when they find out. I'm guessing it's going to be heavily smoke damage regardless.
Mhm.
And like the value of the things I have might not be as expensive, or it might be less value than me traveling back to Arizona to
Sure.
pick up what I have, So I'm kind of considering it a loss, and I'm really speculating. I'm pretty sure that regardless of what's left standing, it's got to be. I mean, that smoke was insanity.
Yeah.
So I'm sure.
You can
and I
just
don't
see
know.
from the picture how hot that fire was.
Yeah. And I mean, at first glance, when we saw the cloud, I thought it was just some weird coloration. There was a weird moon that night. Moonrise was like 4:45. It was called the buck moon, ironically enough.
I don't
that's
want to
kinda
see
why
the
we-
buck moon.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody does. But yeah, well, you did see the buck moon a few times on the trip with Miyagi up north. But you probably didn't look if you had any brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That or it's PTSD where I just can't remember it,
I might still have a photo. I'll send it to you after this.
Oh, great.
Anyway, so yeah, that was my first thought. I'm like, the clouds look really strange colored, they look
Yeah.
like a smoky, and so that was kind of stupidity on my part, but we were watching that as we got on the trail, and after a while it started dawning on us. I'm like, that's definitely fire, and like I said, it was just like almost like a fateful event. We got to the point, I knew at a point I'd hiked that section of the trail before. I knew there was a certain point we'd get phone signal, and it wasn't more than 2 minutes after we kind of got to that area that our phones started blowing up. So
I mean, there was a
what
little bit
blessing.
of debate of whether you finish your hike or camp, and you guys made
Yeah.
the right decision.
Yeah, we sat there for probably half an hour, 45 minutes, and just kind of debated what not to do. And I think had we stayed, we may have been okay. I don't think the fire crossed the highway until the next day. But it was still a good thing to do, because we would have been in the dark about what was going on, at the North Rim itself.
So you're camping north of the lodge, right?
Yeah.
And the fire, that was a different fire up there, right?
Yep, that was the White Sage, which was coming from Kanab, Utah, which is a little bit north and west of Jacob Lake. So, and then 45 minutes, or about 45 miles south of Jacob Lake is the North Rim Lodge and all the lodge campgrounds and our housing. And that's where the Dragon Bravo fire was starting to really cook,
Where did that one start?
That started, so it's a really cool trail I think it's called the Woodfirst Trail. So it would be west of the lodge, maybe 5 miles, maybe 8 miles, somewhere in that ballpark. And they were, I don't know, there's all sorts of speculation. People are saying that they should have controlled it earlier because they made the decision to make it like a controlled burn. Again, I'm not here to point fingers at anybody because hindsight is tough, So I think whoever was there making the decisions was making the best ones at the time. But winds picked up and that thing went nasty wild. And so while I was working at the saloon that day, we noticed that cloud come up and it looked even gnarlier than the white sage. And the white sage at that point had already burned like 9,000 acres or something like that.
Isn't the canyon west of where the lodge is?
No, the actual lodge itself is literally on the canyon, literally on the rim. So
on the north rim.
North rim, yeah.
I'm picturing it on the east side.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I got to really look at a map in my head before I even spout facts at you. But yeah, so if you're a rim to rimmer, if you've done the rim to rim, right?
Yeah, we did
on that trip. So did you come up the North Kaibab Trail?
Is that the one going up to the North Rim?
Yeah, you had to have, because that's, I believe, the only one from the North Rim.
It was like there's a parking lot up there, and then we had to walk like a mile and a half to like a little gift shop.
Yep, that's exactly. So you were there. You were at the lodge. You might have gone to the camp.
Lodge?
Well, did you go to like a little general store in a campground?
Yes.
That's the general store. So that's the campground general store. That's also run by my company. The lodge would have been down the road about half a mile from where you were.
And we were there real early in the spring. I don't think the lodge was open yet. Well, I made it to the northern rim. Woohoo! As you can see, well, there's a little different on this side. There was a blizzard here probably a week ago. But and this road that goes along here was closed. But I see cars and RVs up here, so it is closed, or it is open again. Looks like they're doing a controlled burn here. Real smoky. See it burning? The general store is open.
But yeah, that's exactly where you were. So that general store is gone. The propane tank there blew up. I believe the gas station that's there is gone too. Most of the structures in that particular area. And then the lodge itself is the heart-wrenching part. I think that was built in 1937. Fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure somewhere in that decade.
Was that like a CCC project? It's like a big old building.
You know what? That's what annoys me is after it's all gone, it's like, I wish I would have done more research. And I still can, obviously, but there were signs outside that I didn't read. There was like a plaque there that was kind of about the first fire that burned the first lodge before they rebuilt it. But yeah, look, it appears it's all stone. It's like classic CCC looking. The inside where the restaurant, I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. There's big verandas right on the rim.
I've never been in there, but I saw the pictures and it was huge.
Huge, yep. Big old gift shop, the saloon, lobby, and then, like I said, the verandas were the big thing. People would, grab a beverage and go sit on the veranda, watch sunset. The restaurant was all big windows, beautiful.
How many people worked up there on the North Rim?
From us alone, over 200, and then you have all the NPS staff and the rangers and the mule guys, the guys that do the mule rides. They were all there. They were housed in close proximity to us, so we got to know them. There's a neat story about the mules. They didn't have time to trailer them, so they kind of were just left to die. And I guess one of the mule guys got so damn upset that he just broke all barriers, went in and released them. And then we found out 3 or 4 days ago they all survived. So they just let them go, and they found their way to safety. I don't know if they went down into the canyon a little ways. I don't know where they found them, but I have some pretty credible resources that they lived. So that's cool.
Yeah. I'm glad the guy did it. He's probably unemployed now, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't care. He's a hero. I mean, that is a bright spot in the whole ordeal. I kind of like
But
to
if,
know what happened to like the bison herd and things too, but I bet they
yeah.
survived as well. They're
Where
resilient.
was
They know
that
what
herd located?
So just outside the park, as you're coming into the North Rim, there's just these big extreme meadows, you know, every few miles, the closer you get to the rim itself, and they would always kind of herd up in there. And my assumption would be that if they stayed in that area, they may have been okay, you know, but I
Yeah.
haven't heard any word on them, but hoping for the best.
And you were saying, I think earlier, that the fires aren't very well contained yet.
No, we heard that they're getting some rain today, but there's also lots of wind still, so it's really unpredictable. And I've gotten up until yesterday, they were saying 0% contained.
You can imagine, because it's so dry down there, that any sort of spark, is going to set something off.
Yeah, the Rangers told us a story of a guy who literally just put a cigarette butt out on an old tree stump once, and it smoldered to a flame. You know, I mean that's pretty crazy to even think about. But
so I mean, it's nice. It's nice that people, everybody thinks about, the national park is closed and the buildings were destroyed, and I'm glad they got the guests out safely. But they don't think about the 200 people that were working there, and a lot of them probably like you. I mean, to normal standards, don't have as much stuff, belongings. They don't have as big a bank account, that sort of thing. So, I know you've worked in a number of national parks. I know the Badlands, and what was the place in Texas?
Big Bend.
Big Bend.
Yep, that's where I was this last winter.
Go from place to place, and that kind of lifestyle is what makes you happy.
It absolutely does, but you are not lying. I mean, we're all vagabonds, and I always joke that we're like one rung up the ladder from a traveling circus, glorified carnies. Sorry for wiggling there. So yeah, none of us are really doing it for the money. My goal is always to make enough money to basically screw around for 10 days in between seasons. I've been successful at that so far because you always have a gap, and then you just on your road trip you see all the cool crap on your drive to wherever you're going next. So yeah, none of us have huge bank accounts. I was lucky. Again, this is my first season as a bartender, and I don't know if I ever go back to seasonal work. I don't know if I could ever go back to like front desk supervisor or I did retail supervisor. The income was a lot smaller, even as
no tips
leader.
For that, right?
No. Yeah, the tips were good. So I saved enough money to get to where I'm going next.
Yeah. Do you know where that is?
Well, I mean, we could. I don't think this is going to be any like major news by any chance, but I committed this morning to becoming a full-time employee with none other than Hilltop Packs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
This whole thing has kind of made me a little bit queasy. Our company didn't handle things perfectly. I should watch what I'm saying as I'm on a patio amongst all the staff, but I think it could have been handled better. They're giving us a little bit of what do they call it? A financial assistance package. They told us not to call it a severance. I don't know why. I'm sure some legal stuff.
Yeah.
So I was not even expecting that. That's kind of the nature of our company. They're relatively greedy. And so I was really pleased to hear that they're going to help us, because there's people here. One kid, being a kid, left his passport behind, and all he has is an expired driver's license. So he can't even prove his identity for employment at this point in time. And he's got like $60 or something like that, he said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty blessed to have been responsible enough to save enough. And then this little kickback from the company is good. But they put us up in this hotel, which has been just such a weird situation. Everybody's super bummed. Everybody's kind of moping around. And then here we are in like this bougie hotel and 50 feet from the pool.
Yeah.
A couple of hot tubs. There's a bar over there. It's just kind of a party scene. And here we are just kind of like twiddling our thumbs, waiting for news. And then this morning they call us in. They're like, You got to be out by 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody.
Which probably isn't terrible for you, but for that guy with $60 and not an identity,
Yeah.
it's got to be a little stressful.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, you know, that travel like more extensively than I do abroad and things like that in the off season. So they don't own vehicles. So they're trying to coordinate shuttles and things for everybody. And perhaps maybe the most disappointing part is just the, you know, you work for a multi-billion-dollar company and we have destinations all over the country. And instead of getting a bunch of heads into a boardroom and saying, let's find a place to get them going, they basically relied on us to be, you know, proactive. And we have to go through the application process, the interview process. And here we are being booted tomorrow. And I know of maybe 2 or 3 people in my circle that have had job offers. And I'm one of them. I could go back to the bad way, but Mike Ghost is there.
Okay.
And as much as I'd love to go see him, he has reported that this season has not gone very smooth. Okay. So I declined that. And I thought Ben and I talked at length, and it's like, man, this feels like a sign. Like this is a sign that we should just pull the trigger on this. We've been talking about it for a couple of years now.
Well, Ben was talking about that when we were camping together, that he wanted you to do that. So
glad to hear it.
You're going to be driving out to Pennsylvania and maybe putting down some roots?
Yeah. I mean, settling down for a while. By roots, I told him, like, give me the cheapest studio apartment you can find. I still want to live, like, as inexpensively as possible.
Without a 4-year lease?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll commit to a solid year, and if not more. You know, I'd love nothing more to work for. It's going to be a blessing to work for somebody I care about. I would never do him wrong, you know, on purpose. Obviously, I'll make mistakes every day, I'm sure. Like, that's my nature. So I would never intentionally do anything wrong.
If people don't know, Tim has been doing videos part-time for Hilltop Packs, just kind of a little side gig. If you don't know Hilltop Packs, check them out on social media, and you'll see Tim's goofy face all over the place.
Yeah, Ben is not a smart man in his hiring practices, but that stands to benefit me. So I'm going to
actually, I think he is a pretty smart guy. We kind of talked about his marketing and stuff, and
isn't he interesting?
Yeah, his choice of you is a little questionable, but he knows what he's doing.
That's the biggest mistake he's ever made, and you know, but no, he's just a fascinating guy, you know, and he jokes with me that he's like, you know, we have a lot in common, and that makes zero sense to me until he elaborates on the fact. He's like, we're both risk takers. I have 3 or 4 businesses juggling at all times in my life. I'm not afraid of failure, and you know, you're out there doing this seasonal stuff. And when he boils it down, you know, we do have a ton in common. Yeah. And I mean, you've met with and talked to him a lot. It's just he's a good dude. Good dude. Yeah. I'm excited to be going there.
He needs to get in a little better shape for hiking, but he's a good dude.
Well, if he didn't juggle 4 businesses, he'd be able to hike more often. So I keep telling him, you got to find some time for not only your family, but for yourself. I was super happy that he went on that trip with you guys.
When you're hiking in Arkansas in June, when it's 100% humidity, I think most people struggle. So
well, you of all people, like, you can point fingers at damn near every hiker because you hike at like 5 miles an hour. So
I don't hike that fast.
I bet you. What do you think? What is your average hiking speed?
Well, it depends on if I'm shooting video or not. No, it's only like 3.
Is it? Does that include breaks?
Yeah.
So it's 4.
I don't know.
When you're actually walking. I'm gonna I'm gonna get one of them radars on you. But yeah, you're in peak shape. You're running marathons, dude. I am impressed. I've been following along. We haven't talked in way too long, but I need to take a little time to pat you on the back.
So let's get back to the Grand Canyon here a little bit. So I know in your video you're saying that you might need a little financial help, and it sounds like definitely some of your coworkers could need some help. If there are people who are generous enough to think about giving, what should they do? I can put links in the video.
I'm so embarrassed to even stoop to these these humble pie is what I'm saying. And I've been humbled by this. But go to my video. It's on Backpacking with Buckley. And I have links to my Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and we have the moment to squeeze in just an insane amount of gratitude. The video's been up for 1 day, and I'm not a very emotional guy, but I've been choked up about 18 times because I've had strangers, obviously friends, just put money in my bank account because I made a video asking for money. And man, I did not realize, and it's always good to have that reminder of what our community is about. Because I never found that in golf. I never found that in, fishing or boating or all the other hobbies I've had in my life. But there's something truly unique and lovable about all the freaks that hike like us. It's been, man, I'm kind of blushing now. I'm just so grateful for all my friends and even strangers that have just, lend a helping hand financially, and probably more importantly, just the kindness and the words,
Yeah. And I know you mentioned in your video that, I trust you because I know you, that if you get more money than you need, that you're going to pass it along to some of those other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's hard to establish what I need, but if I get to where I'm going, I literally have taken a list down of who I have deemed the most in need, their contact information. And I fully intend to, share some of that. If I get up to PA and I make a deposit on my apartment and do all those things, I want to give that back. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're going to end the video here. Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see you kind of have a direction for where you're going, and we'll be thinking about all those other coworkers that may be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, please do. They all deserve a pat on the back, encouraging words, a few bucks, whatever you got. Thank you, Jeremy.
So,
it's good to see your face.
Well, if you haven't checked it out, your YouTube channel is Backpacking with Buckley.
Yep.
You're on Instagram and all those things.
All the things, yeah. I'm not real social media crazy, so I really focus on YouTube because that's my favorite. I call it. It's a hobby. It's truly a hobby. That's what I enjoy the most. But yeah, you can find me on the other avenues as well.
Yeah. All right, man. And if people want to, they should also subscribe and punch the bell notification for Midwest Backpacker.
Yeah.
And
you're killing it. You're doing
Hopefully soon. Maybe I'm going to have to come up to Pennsylvania, and I'll see you on the trail.
For real. We'll find places. Or Dolly Sods. There's always that.
Ooh.